as a child, we were always believed in fairy tales. I was brought up with fairy tales. One of them was that money grew on trees. So as a child, I planted coins after coins after coins. I am yet to find my tree of money. So having said that, I figured out that there's other ways to obtain money. If you want to be entrepreneurial, if you want to start your own business, but you're not a millionaire, and unlike Trump, we did not inherit $10 million, you can start your own business. There are ways to do it. So out there are grants, contributions, and other financial assistance, including from private organizations, such as Angels, Entrepreneurs, or Young Entrepreneurs of Canada, and others. There's loans and capital investments you can obtain. These are repayable, but usually at a low interest rate, so not the 11.5% that the bank charges you. There's government financing programs. Those are guaranteed financial programs. So if you qualify under those criteria, you usually will get it. There's also wage subsidies. So let's say you want to start a corporation and you cannot do it alone. There are wage subsidies out there that you can apply for. The other thing that you have is financing from non-government organizations. Those are the private ones that I'm talking about. So, as you can imagine, everybody wants some. You're not the only one who's going to apply for it. Millions of people do every year. So, there are strings attached. It's a must, okay? Everybody that's going to give you money is going to put conditions on it. And you have to fulfill those conditions. So some of the conditions that they will get, or they will give you, is that you have to abide by their eligible criteria. Some of the criteria may be that you have to have already 2 years in business. If you don't have those 2 years in business, you must have a solid business plan. And I will speak on this later, okay? But it's essential. If you don't know what you want, nobody's going to give you money for just an idea, okay? So be knowledgeable of that. If you have financial backing from other resources, so that means that you have another investor, somebody who believes in you, okay, that is willing to put a 1-to-1 ratio in terms of financing. So you say you need $60,000 to start a business. You may be able to get a grant for 30, but that means if you don't have the other 30, you're going to have to find a financial backer to back you on the other 30. There's many other factors to every grant application, to every loan and financing out there. Be careful. So all I tell is that you have to read a lot and you have to research a lot. Nepotism is not allowed. For those who are not familiar with the term, that means you cannot say that your husband is your partner, your son is your employer, and your grandmother is the receptionist. That won't work, okay? So if you're going to start a business, it's a business. It's not a family business, okay? So lastly, and this I say is, with every application, read one more time, and then when you think you're done, read it again. Everything comes with strings attached. Don't be fooled. So some of the examples that exist out there. One that I like that was started by our current federal government was the Women Entrepreneurship Fund. So the Women Entrepreneurship Fund is a fund that tries to give women the incentive to start their own companies. And by that I mean that women compose 52% of the population. We only own 16% of the businesses in Canada. That's abysmal, if you're looking at statistics. That means that over 60% of the women don't want any part of owning a business. That's sad. We're smart. Come on, ladies. You can own your own business. It's not difficult. So the fund allows for $20 million investment. And this is for applicants to allow applicants to get up to 100,000 non-repayable funds. What does that mean? That means you get $100,000 and you don't have to pay it back. But you need a business plan. Now, the bad part about this is that This particular fund finished on November 15 this year. Don't get discouraged. I'm sure the new budget's going to come up in March. Watch for it. Listen for it. If it doesn't come under this name, it will come under a similar name. This government believes in equality. Look for it, okay? So, some of the other things that we can look for, and some of the other examples of things that are available to you are the micro-lending for women in Ontario. So micro-lending gives the ability to give microloans to low-income people, to newcomers to Canada, to people that face challenges. So basically, if you're a francophone and English is not your first language, but you want to open a business that serves other francophones, there's help. If you have a business that serves seniors, youth, so underprivileged categories or underserviced categories, there is help for you, okay? The women entrepreneur, if you have people with disabilities, visible minority, aboriginals, all of those qualify, okay? So it supports low income, it supports people who want to start their own business. They will also provide you with financial literacy. They will provide you with entrepreneurial mentorship. So that means that they will get someone who's already in business, who has business experience, to mentor you. So what licenses do you need? What license will your business need? Are they municipal? Are they provincial? Under what bylaws does your business have to be funded in? So all those pitfalls that the majority of us, when we start something new, are not aware of, you will have someone to mentor you through that. So these are microloans. They're not big. Okay. Some of the centers that you will have, and I've listed a few. So Thorncliffe, which is one of the offices in Toronto, Catherine works there. Another one in Toronto with Janice Wiggins. So there's a women's center for York region, so the northern part of Toronto. There's one in Hamilton. Unfortunately, I could not find one in Mississauga, so that means you most likely will have to go to Hamilton. And there's a center for francophones. So if you want to service the francophone community, that would be where you would go. Now, I believe that CAWm, you don't have to worry about pictures and note-taking. I believe that CAWm will share this with all of you who provided an email address, okay? So you'll have that information. So some of the things that you will find under the newcomers program to Canada is also what is called a futurepreneur. So the futurepreneur is something that Canadians believe in the future of Canada. If you're young, if you're new to Canada, you've been here under 5 years as an immigrant, and you're between the ages of 18 to 29, so under 30. Oh, no, sorry, this one, they've changed it now recently to 39, thank goodness.
I was feeling bad, like, yeah. I missed it.
No. This one, the futurepreneur, is up to 39. They just changed it this year, 2018. Yes. It used to be 29. You get $7,500 to start a business, but this is a repayable loan. So you don't get to keep the money. Eventually you'll have to pay it back, okay? So one of the things that this program allows is, it also allows you to partner with BDC. Now BDC is the Bank Development of Canada. They are a business bank only. So if you have a business, you can bank with them. If you don't have a business, you cannot bank with them. So because they cater to businesses only, they have specialized people who look into loans, financing for young entrepreneurs as well. So if you get a futurepreneur financing, BDC will actually match it dollar for dollar. So that means that your $7,500 loan just became a $15,000 loan, okay? So it is not easy to obtain, but again, you have to be a citizen or a permanent resident, have been under that condition for no more than 5 years, and you have to be in business for less than a year, so your business has to be relatively new. And you have to agree to work with a mentor. Again, everything comes with strings attached. This is not the only criteria, there's others. So, there's the social insurance number, you have to provide character references. You have to have a limited credit history in Canada. If by chance you come to Canada with a good credit history, that means that you have money in the bank or you've already paid half of a house or something of the sort, you can get up to $45,000 in loan. Okay, so they're basically looking at your credit history and making sure that everything's okay. So, under the same program, there's another one called the Startup. What is the Startup? The Startup is a two-tier program. And again, it's meant to help in the new businesses. So, again, the 15,000 between 18 and 39. This one, again, you have to work with a mentor, but this time for 2 years. Whereas the other one, you only had to work with a mentor for 1 year. Now you have to work with a mentor for 2 years. You need to repay the loan, and this one has an administration fee. But you can also pair it with BDC and get up to 30,000 this time, okay? Again, eligibility requirements, there's just the major ones, there's other conditions. So again, you have to look carefully, read the fine print, and make sure that you qualify. When you agree to work with your mentor, there's a stipulation for 2 years and about 4 to 5 hours per month minimum. Please ensure you comply or they will cut your funding and ask for an immediate repayment. Okay? Another one that you have is a Smart Seed Fund, or Smart Start Seed. I call it the Smart Seed. This one, you are eligible up to 70,000, but this is related to tech companies. So if you have a tech company, let's say you developed a new app, something that's going to tell me what are my grocery bills going to be at the end of the month every month. I'd love somebody who'd invented that. You develop a new app. You need to now promote it, sell it, but you don't have the money to do that, right? That's where this comes in. You can get a grant, and this is a grant, up to $70,000.
Wow.
Okay? In this one, you could receive about $7,500 towards the cost of business training and other support services. Let's say you need a special license and you don't have that license. Well, they'll give you that $7,500 for you to get that license. Okay? You have to be a first-time applicant. You have to be a Canadian citizen or permanent resident. You have to meet the age requirements. Why don't I put age here? Because there's 2 separate streams under here. Okay? And you have to be an Ontario-based corporation or startup. You have to own your own intellectual property. That means you have to have it registered or patented. Okay? So you own your own intellectual property. Be very careful with that. You cannot use, so if you work for York University and you develop something at York University, it belongs to York University. It does not belong to you. It has to be your own. The matching is one-on-one funds, so that means if they give you $70,000, you have to come up with the other $70,000. Okay? And you have to obtain endorsements. Usually those are entrepreneurs, they will help you with that. So the Smart Seed Fund comes under 2 streams. Stream number 1 is for what I call the young investors. Those are ages 18 to 29. This one stayed at 29. And it's up to 30,000 for a startup.
So I can get
you
it.
can also get the seed funding up to 60,000, but with a minimum 50% matching. Whereas the other one, they're a little bit more flexible, just because it's less amount of money, they're not as stringent. The non-youth-led investment, and I love that, they don't call it the old investment. It is for 30 plus years, okay? So 30 plus, I don't care, you could be 88, you could still start your business. And this has, again, one-on-one matching. Startups do not have to have a youth representative. And what do I mean by that? So let's say in this one, you have a very young entrepreneur who is 22 years old, okay? He's not gonna come up with $30,000. But put him in a partnership with someone that is 50 and can come up with the 30,000. As long as he's a majority holder in that partnership, it's a youth-led investment company, okay? But he has to have 51% or more ownership. If this case, you don't have to have that, right? So you don't have to have the young person, or if you do, fine, but it doesn't have to be a majority holder, okay? So, again, this is where you have to read all the smart, all the small print. Eligibility, you have to be an Ontario-based startup, incorporated at least 3 years by the application submission deadline. You must hold equity or a key position in the company, so you cannot be a minority shareholder. One of the other things is that you must be Canadian citizen or permanent resident. You have to be endorsed by one of these 3 corporations. They're highlighted for a reason. Before you seek funding, you have to seek endorsement. Okay? So you have to go to the Campus Linked Accelerator, the Regional Innovation Center, or the on-campus entrepreneurship activities. These are usually university-led organizations, okay? Some of them are also in colleges. Seek them out. They usually will look for research development, young entrepreneurial people to partner with them. If you don't want to partner, they refer you to these organizations to help you out. Sorry, I'm getting a little dry here. So one of the other things is that you have a minimum, you have to be actively engaged with these corporations for at least 4 months. Okay, so it's not to go there this week and you apply next week. There has to be some involvement with them. The other thing that will happen is that you have to have an endorsement from a signing officer from one of these organizations, okay? And the advisor cannot act as your signer. So he cannot be, he's the signing officer of your company, but he cannot be the major shareholder of your company, if you will, okay? And you have to have a one-on-one match. So 99% of the grants or anything of that nature, just remember, one-on-one is usually the minimum, okay? You cannot go much beyond that. So let's say that you have a young company and you just started. And I don't know if you know this, but 70% of companies fail within the first 5 years, okay? The rate is very high for a reason. It's hard, okay? That doesn't mean you should give up. If you talk to most entrepreneurs, they'll tell you they had 5 businesses that failed before their one that succeeded, okay? If you get into that, there are places that you can go for help. So I don't suggest that you go looking for grants when you're in debt. Fix your debts first. Okay, so cooperatives. Desjardins Group is one of the cooperatives that will allow some financing to young entrepreneurs, and they do a good job at it. The other one is the Canadian Credit Union Association. They also give loans, especially commercial loans, credits, and they also provide banking services. The other one is the Canadian Finance and Leasing Association. They actually help you out, especially with costs of real estate and things like that, and oftentimes they'll even help you negotiate. And last but not least is the Canadian Bankers Association. They're my preferred. They have chartered accountants within their company who can help you out even beyond financing, okay? So, then there is tax rebates. If you have a business, you know this. Yes?
I have a question on the smart city funding. So is this a repayable loan or
So anything that is financing, it's usually a repayable loan.
the first one that you showed was?
The entrepreneurship, the women's, that's a grant. Grants are non-repayable. Financing, loans, credit lines, all of those are repayable.
Okay, so
Okay.
Smart Seed one is not the grant. I thought it's a grant.
Which one?
The Smart Seed one for the app, like if you develop an application as a unit.
So
That's a
some
grant.
of them are
Okay,
grants.
some of them.
Some of them are
Someone's
grants.
asked.
Yeah, no. So there is, if, I'll have to go back, but some of them that are grants will specifically say grant. Okay? If it says financing, it's repayable.
Okay.
So that's what I mean by be careful, read, 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 and read again. Okay?
The question, when they give us this funding, is there a percentage they charge, like BDC, they will be charging, a percentage?
So
of those
BDC
that they-
usually charges an administration fee. It's not a percentage. It's not based on percentage. It's usually based on the size of your business. Okay? And it's just an administration fee that can be rolled into the financing. If it is interest, that is something else that they charge separately. Okay? That is just for the price of providing you that amount of money for that period of time. But usually BDC has a much better rate than any banking institution out there. So if you know banking institutions charge prime plus whatever, right? So whatever prime is at, and then they add 3 times as much on top. Okay, whereas BDC will do prime plus a much smaller percentage to lend you that same amount of money. I cannot say to every business because every business is different and every case is different, and BDC will look to your business to see what risks are associated with your business. How good of a business plan do you have? And then they will dictate how much your interest can be, okay? But to give you an example, if a corporation that is sort of in an okay location with a pretty good plan goes to a bank, nowadays 11.5% is usually what the bank charges, okay? If you go to BDC for a small loan, they may charge you something along 3.5 to 5, so it's less than half, okay? But again, you have to have everything just done right, okay?
How about the funding from the government? Do they charge interest as well?
So the funding from the government works differently. Depending on the organization, they may or may not charge you interest. Most of them don't, okay? If they do, it's small. We're talking like 2%, okay? If the loan is done through BDC, because governments often go through the Bank Development of Canada, so that's the business bank. Again, it's a much lower interest. So regardless, you still get a better deal than going out on your own, okay? And for small organizations, again, you have to prove your business case. So it's easy for Bombardier to go out there and put their business case forth. They've been around for a long time. People know their name. They know who they are. They know the talent that they have. Not a problem. They don't know you. They don't know your business case. So you have to put your best case forward, okay? So,
Excuse me, for the non-profit organizations, they are looking for the timings, how long they are in the market, or just like it could be new?
non-profit, I haven't touched on non-profit just
Okay.
because it's a very, very specific field. So non-profit organizations works very, very differently. Government, you have institutions that help non-profit organizations at 3 different levels: municipal, provincial, and federal. And with those organizations, the funding that you get depends on the case study that you have done to show the necessity for the community.
For the community.
Okay? So if whatever group you're helping within your community, you have to show what study have you done to show what the needs are, to show how those dollar amounts are going to make a difference, and then ask for money based on that. and then you have to report back. So there's always final reports and usually follow-up reports to
Yeah,
that.
but my question is this, it should be it's in the system like a year before or 2 years before, like as a registered organization, or we can,
Usually
we
they
can
look,
start from the base?
you can start from ground zero,
Okay.
but you would have a much easier time if your organization has been around for 1 or 2 years.
Okay.
Okay, so if you show that you have the volunteers, you have done your research, you've already helped a number of people, that you have letters, thank you letters from whatever organizations you're helping yourself. So if that is there, it becomes much easier to justify the funding for you, right?
And if we have experience of that doing with somebody else in other organization, but we do have that experience, it counts?
Yes, so years of experience count. So one of the things you will put in a business plan is your bio.
Okay.
In your biography, you will have to show, how do you know this? How have you come about this experience? That's where you would put that. So in the executive summary of your business plan, okay?
Thank you.
So, tax rebates. I am not a tax person. I am the least knowledgeable when it comes to tax, and I can tell you that as a fact. I married an accountant for a reason.
Me too.
So, one of the things that I highly, highly emphasize is, I will not give you my husband's business because he works for a company, he doesn't do private. So I'm not asking this for him. I'm asking you, go out and find a good accountant, okay? Find someone, look within your municipality, within your place of business, look for a magazine that shows who's gotten awards as the best business, okay? Who has a good reputation, who does good service for their client. Find them out, get them. Those are the people you want on your corner.
So, sorry, why?
Why? Because 90% of the time, it's like finding a good doctor.
You mean that the others are not effective? That
No,
so
there are
the
good ones
statistics
out
which
there.
shows that?
There are good ones out there, and I'm not saying everyone. Sometimes it's you find a personal one or a referral from someone who knows, oh, this is my accountant, you should use him, he's a good guy or he's a good gal, whatever the case, right? But there are some cases where you don't know where to look, right? You don't know where to start. I'm not suggesting go to the Yellow Pages and pick the first name on the list. I'm saying if you're going to go out and you don't know anybody, look for someone who's gotten a business award, okay? Because at least you know you're getting hopefully somebody decent, with decent knowledge, with a decent background, with a decent business proposition to be forth, okay? And that goes for everything. You need to file taxes every year. Your personal taxes are intertwined and linked with your business taxes. That accountant should take that into consideration, not charge you extra to do that, but do both for you and talk to you about this. So, scientific research and experimental development and expenditure claims for such. Now you're saying, oh, but I'm selling diapers. What the heck do I need shred for? Well, let's say you want to come up with a better diaper, okay? Want to come up that is going to be biodegradable, is not going to fill up the landfill. You're going to need to do research for that, right? That's your expenditure. Those are tax deductible. Don't discount it. Talk to your tax accountant. The other thing is the employer's guide. There's a taxable benefits and allowances. Make sure you're aware of them. GST and HST. Those are charged on imports and exports. Same thing with duty. Now, I have known a gentleman who had an import business, and he imported fabric to Canada, which he then cut into smaller pieces because he imported big rolls. I mean, we're talking like huge rolls of fabric. He would then cut them to, let's say, 10 meters by 20 meters, right? And sell them to a designer who did draperies with them. But that designer happened to be in the US. He just imported the fabric from India. He was paying duty, HST, GST, and he was never claiming it back for 3 years. So, if you import and then turn around and export, you can recover your duties, your taxes. Your accountant will tell you that. He will show you how to do it. Again, get the experts on your side. Don't try to do it alone. If you have your own business, I highly suggest, because I'm a great believer in that, charities. Give to charities. If your tax dollars are going to be put to